Namaste everyone. Hello again. These are some of the most exciting times for us Indians. Every single day, week, month, we get to hear, see, witness great, unique, revolutionary achievements of remarkable individuals, business groups, companies, startups, and the nation as a whole. Be it technology, infrastructure, indigenous weapons, quantum leap in global diplomatic and geopolitical influence, startups with revolutionary ideas for the welfare of the society, economic and manufacturing growth, and so on. This month, we got to witness another great achievement, which is nothing but an absolute matter of pride for our country, when the Defense Minister officially unveiled and handed over India's first advanced attack helicopter to the armed forces, and successively the first dedicated squadron of the attack chopper, codenamed HAL LCH, was formally raised and initiated. The armed forces had another attack chopper, HAL Rudra, in its arsenal for quite some time, but it was just an armed version of the utility helicopter HAL Dhruv with much more payload capacity and an upgraded radar. But the LCH is India's first full fledged combat helicopter with one of the best designs among all the attack helicopters ever built in the US, Russia, France, and UK. I'm disregarding China's home built attack choppers because they are just substandard, cheap, reverse engineered copies of the American Apache and the Russian Mi 24. The much awaited combat helicopter was officially handed over to the Indian Air Force by the Defense Minister on 3rd of October. Named Prachand, which in Sanskrit means the beginning is strong and extreme, is a perfect symbol of India's world class technological prowess and the remarkable and growing story of India's recent technological achievements in some of the most advanced and critical fields in recent times. Well, the stealthiest attack chopper ever designed and built was the American RH-66 Comanche, jointly developed by Boeing and Sikorsky, but the program was ultimately cancelled by the Pentagon due to multiple cost overruns. The only major difference between these two choppers was the internal weapons bay design of the Comanche that made it slightly more stealthy than India's Prachand. So naturally, Prachand became the stealthiest attack chopper in active operation in the world. The fuselage of India's first combat helicopter was designed and optimized for stealth characteristics in such a way that made the radar cross-section of the Prachand so small that the chopper will look even smaller than an anti-tank guided missile in enemy radars. And this will increase the operational capability as it will be able to make much deeper approach towards hostile enemy military establishments and military convoys than its counterparts in the Indian Air Force, such as Apache and the Rudra. Well, the Air Force and the Army would need at least 16 to 18 squadrons combined, 10 for the Army Aviation Department and 6 to 8 for the Air Force to make Prachand the mainstay in the Indian Air Force's ground support, anti-armor and air defense suppression missions. The much needed belligerence has begun in the form of technology, manufacturing, national security, and expansion of geopolitical footprint of India, as the name Prachand signifies. Coming to the most crucial part of the episode, let's understand the incredible engineering design of the Prachand that made it the stealthiest attack helicopter in the world in active operation. We should also be proud of the fact that Prachand also holds the record of flying and landing at the highest altitudes when it landed at the Siachen Glacier region at an altitude of 15,000 feet approximately. Prachand has the highest flight ceiling of 7 km approximately among all the attack choppers in the world. The all-weather multi-role chopper will be one of the most potent and lethal power against China in the north and in the northeast regions of Arunachal Pradesh and also to the west of Jammu and Kashmir against Pakistan, and will also be one of the most valuable export option for India. The fuselage of the Prachand is extremely narrow. The edges and the geometry of the fuselage has been designed for minimal radar cross-section. It is also incorporated with a digital camouflage system for absolute visual stealth, which will allow it to effectively conduct attack missions in multiple types of terrains. The engine exhaust is fitted with infrared suppressor, which will minimize the exposure of heat generated from the engine. The fuselage has canted flat panels for low radar cross section with advanced airfoils and tip shapes of the blade for reduction of noise. And in addition, the main rotor and the tail rotor is hingeless and bearingless respectively. So the stealth optimizing design of the rotors with an anti-resonance isolation system suppresses all kinds of acoustic vibration generated by the rotors and the engine. And this entire design also makes it the most agile attack chopper of all. The rapid induction of Prachand choppers in the coming 5 to 6 years with 10 to 15 squadrons will add enormous amount of lethal teeth to the Indian armed forces in future warfare in the northern, western and northeastern borders and will help the Air Force and the Army establish absolute dominance in wartime in the form of serving as the most powerful platform for ground support to the infantry, air defense for critical military infrastructure of Indian armed forces and destruction of enemy air defense stations. Touching the sky with glory, the Prachand, with its some of the most advanced and technologically exotic capabilities such as stealth, electronic warfare suite, advanced radar and missile approach warning system, the capability of flying and conducting operations in the most extreme weather conditions that encompasses regions with the most vast deserts in Rajasthan, extreme cold weather and altitudes in Siachen, and dense forest areas in the far northeast in India. With addition to all this, when the Prachand chopper will be armed with India's indigenous anti-tank all-weather guided missile, it will act as an invaluable force multiplier and together will form a formidable force projector for both the army and the air force in those extreme battlegrounds for the inevitable future wars in this decade, thus making it a huge contributing factor and war machine in making India's borders impenetrable and establishing absolute supremacy in future warfare against China or the 2.5 front war against both Pakistan and China and India's notorious Marxist parasites whom we all call the eminent internal enemies. The Prachand will also play a huge role in the Defense Ministry's ambitions and aggressive plans of making India one of the leading defense exporters in the world as a premium and one of the top products of India's ever growing and rising defense industry. In this era of geopolitical turmoil and rapidly changing global order, if we can become Aatmanirbhar in making our own advanced weapons platforms, our defense industry will act as an absolute catalyst in increasing our ever rising geopolitical influence over the world. So that was all for this episode. I'll be back with some many more exciting and interesting business, economic, and geopolitical case studies. My request to all is to subscribe our channel as this is in its early stages of development and become a part of this amazing journey of taking back control and liberty of gaining and understanding the information, education, knowledge, and transparent, unbiased, clutter free, informative conversations that you want to know and understand from your individual perspective that schools, coaching centers, universities, and the entire education system fails to do for us. Your one click to subscribe will not just help my cause, but will help to create the education, knowledge, and information transparency that we want to create in the digital spectrum through which anyone can learn some of the most important, crucial, and advanced topics from any part of the country. Your one click to subscribe and share will help me to get the exposure and take my channel forward and a much broader section of the audience in the digital spectrum. Thank you and see you in the next one.